for clients. So I have to book my return flight still. I think we're live.
Okay, yeah, I did get clearance, and welcome to the Ripple Effect here with Dave and Erika. And Erika's actually looking pretty refreshed and happy this holiday season. She's out in New York, so that's great to hear that. What's been on your agenda out there, Erika?
I've been playing with nieces. My nieces are here, one's 17, one's 13. We've been doing niece things.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's really fun to be here. We had like a cousins gathering last Saturday, which is really, we haven't seen anybody in 2 years, so, or just about 2 years. So it was really cool to see everybody and get together and have a nice little family gathering.
Nice. And remind me where you're from originally in New York?
I'm from New York area, Long Island, and my people are from all over the place, Manhattan and, Westchester, going up and out into the whole tri-state area.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, we have a great show today. We have your swim coach, Marcia Benjamin, who you've been raving about out here in Alameda, just the island right off of the coast, the Oakland city here. And, I'm actually kind of a casual swimmer. I come from a family of swimmers. Actually, some of my aunt's records is still on the board up at the park pool here, just a walking distance from here. My dad had 7 brothers and sisters, and 3 or 4 of them were swimmers. So they used to swim at this pool here near our family house, my grandma's old house here. So, and I go up there too. So I'm interested to hear about what Marcia offers. And if you don't mind just giving us a testimonial for her, but should we do a quick check-in first, or do you want to waive the check-ins today?
Well, just like, I'm so happy to see you, and I appreciate getting to be on this Ripple Effect. And anything you want to say as a check-in, David?
I just wanted to say it was good this morning to take the time to think about what I was grateful for. And one of the most important things I learned from my business coach is to every day really reflect on what you're grateful for, because that mood of being grateful helps kind of connect you with the universe. She calls it, in a more positive and uplifting way. So anytime we can do that, I know it's easy to think about all of our challenges and troubles, but if we can actually come from a place of gratitude, that kind of puts us in the right mind to get where we need to go, so to speak, and to really think of moving forward in a positive and constructive way, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yes, but, exactly.
Other than that, just gonna look forward to getting together with the family and watching some basketball and just kind of hanging out over the holidays. So, and then kind of getting caught up on some work. So, yeah.
Right on. Well, let's get to our main focus squeeze here. Coach Marcia Benjamin, we're so excited to have you on here, and we'd love for you to say hi and share your story, and we can make this real conversational, or you can kind of talk a little, however you'd like to do it. But it's so fun to have you on here. Like, you're famous to me, and and it's just so great to be able to pick your brain and showcase you on here. So welcome to the Ripple Effect.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So we'd love for you to, share your story. There are people that are going to be tuning in who don't really know you yet. And we want to hear about you and your story. And I just know you like 10 years-ish. And just more recently, I've been getting back into swimming with you since February. And I just think what you've created is just so amazing and fun and positive. And when my friend Green told me that you all were back swimming, I just went, oh, really? And then I had to work through all my objections about, what do I think about this and that, and getting in the pool and my bathing suit and all that. And then finally I got over all my stuff to just get my butt back in the pool. And I've been having such a good time. So why don't you take the floor and just share a little bit about your story and how you got to this moment?
Sure. Well, I started off as an age group swimmer. That's kind of like what David did at OPP. Was that OPP you were at?
Yeah, I actually didn't swim there. I grew up in Fair Oaks. I was at a couple. Glen Oaks was one, and I was also a springboard diver too. So, yeah. But this is OPP, yeah.
Yeah, OPP is a religion out for people who live in Orinda.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get my daughter swimming there some point soon, but yeah, she has a little bit of work to do before we get there.
That's OPP is one of the many clubs in Contra Costa County that neighborhood clubs that have summer league, and summer league is really developed out in Contra Costa County, but not so much where we are in Alameda County. The summer league is for people who just do sprints, and they just swim, from like the end of school until end of August, and big championships, and they have fun sleepovers and relays, and they paint their face and they dress up their cars, and it's just a fun thing for kids. It's like being at camp, but all the time. But I grew up in a more structured way of age group swimming, which is learning all the events and all the strokes, all the distances, traveling, out of the area, and there's national level, junior national level, senior national level. And that's what I did. I swam, through high school. Girls didn't really, there wasn't a place to go after that. Title IX was just sort of getting started, which gave women the opportunity to swim, and get scholarships. So then I started swimming masters in my late 20s, I guess. Masters was just starting up, believe it or not. It wasn't always a thing. And that was my thing. I just loved it. I was sort of an athletic kid, but swimming is something you can do forever, and you could even get better at it, because techniques change and you change, and your level of concentration and dedication changes, and your motivation changes. So it's fun that you can still get better at that. I was swimming at Laney College. After I graduated from Cal, I went back. I had 2 years of eligibility left, and I swam at Laney College when I was 29 and 30, or 30 and 31, and did really well. It was All-American, set all the school records, and went to the state championships, which is as far as community college went. And I was being coached by a fellow who actually is an Orinda guy named Fred Brown. And Laney College decided to start a women's swim team. So Fred offered me the job as his assistant after I had completed my eligibility with Fred. I started doing that, started coaching high school on the side. Then Fred left, and I got the head coach at Laney College job. Then I worked at year-round teams. I even coached summer league for a little bit. Then I went to San Francisco State, and I was the assistant at San Francisco State for 3 or 4 years. Then I picked up a high-level high school team in Walnut Creek, Las Lomas High School. Became the athletic director at Holy Names High School. And then I went back to Laney and started teaching PE classes at Laney, coached the Laney team again. And then I got into master swimming, and turns out that I don't know if I should have started there, but this is really the niche for me. And I've really found the best people. Maybe it's because I'm their age, but these are the people who get my jokes, and who appreciate it, and who show gratitude. So it's just a terrific job right now.
No, that's great to hear. And, there's something about, swimming, biking, and running, the groups of folks who do it, they just love it. And my dad, for example, lives for the Wheelman. He, of course, still swims twice a week, but it's the community there and all the joy that you can have by doing it. I see how much joy it's brought to Erika's life. And, I actually started learning something new. You mentioned you can keep progressing in swimming, and my trainer actually started doing just sprints when I work out in swimming now, and because it's one of the few sports if I was doing sprints on running, but if you get out there and just sprint on running, unless you do that kind of often, it's easier to get injured or pull a muscle. But I was sprinting on swimming, and I think some of the people in the pool wondered like what I was doing, if I was just showing off or whatever. But you can't beat that feeling of being in the pool and sprinting, so I just love to continue to do better. And I did have a question, a wild card question already about, if somebody's looking at swimming, Erika, a philosophy we have on the show is to meet people where they're at. How do you kind of get started with masters? If somebody hasn't swam that much, can they join the masters over there in Alameda, or is that something you could help with?
We have all levels of swimming. We have people who are 19 to 85 on the team. But you really have to know how to swim. And people think that they like swimming, but they don't really know what that means. I think it's people who like to go to the beach in the summer and paddle around, but swim workout, it's sort of like saying, I'd like to get on the ski team, but I don't really know how to ski, Yeah,
I mean, that actually wasn't what I meant, in that you know how to swim, but I think people just kind of fall out of practice doing it. Well, or, it's easy to kind of like, oh, I swam 5 years ago, I just gave up.
That's nothing, David. That's nothing. I mean, I have people who haven't swum in 20 years, but a lot of people come to me because they like the idea of swimming. A lot of times they're triathletes who are hurt, who are injured from running or biking. Those are the two places that get them, and they want to pick up their swimming, which is their weak leg. So, anybody who's ever known how to swim is totally welcome at a master swim practice. But there are a lot of people who come out and think it would be fun to do, but if they don't know anything, this isn't the right place. This is a competitive team.
Okay.
I didn't really know that. When I came to your thing the first week back. I went to your class back at Laney 10 years ago, and that was awesome. But then coming back, I didn't read any fine print that said you're going to compete in a competition. Like, there was no fine print. You're just like, give me your name, your birthday, you're this, you're that, and then you're like, oh yes, you agreed to that. And I'm like, really?
Erika, you're at a competitive level, but it's just making it look easy. So how
Erika's a naturally talented swimmer with a good feel for the water. So it was easy for her to do the physical part of it, but for people who haven't competed in a long time or maybe ever, the mental thing is a little hard for people to wrap themselves around it. They think that, well, first of all, master swimming is a scary sounding word, right? It sounds like you need to have some sort of mastery. But or you're at a level of mastering, but masters just means 18 and up. There's master swimming, masters track, there's masters diving, there's everything masters, but people are afraid of that. And then they think the competitions must just be a bunch of Olympians who are sitting around for 5 minutes and going back to competition. And really our competition is just as varied as our ages.
Great. Yeah. For me, I think it's just the perfect combination of something to do with the strength training that I do, because as much as I love running and a little bit less extent biking in the Bay Area, it's so busy. I love biking, like when I lived up in Tahoe, or running because it was like free. But when you have a lot of roads and you actually have to drive somewhere to find a run like that around here, and people love those hills with the biking over here, but it's really dangerous in a car. You got to have a death wish in Oakland to be riding your bike regularly around. Alameda is probably a little bit more mellow, but I think swimming is such the perfect city thing. And I know some of the remind me of some of the pools that Erika raves about this pool in Alameda, but there are a number of pools in Oakland, from what I recall.
Nothing terrific in Oakland.
Okay.
Holy Names College, Mills College pool is very nice, but the availability of the general public to use it and the ability of teams to rent it at masters and high school, and everybody else is very, very low. There's a couple high school pools that are oddly funky yard lengths, and those are available too, but there's really not much going on in Oakland. Laney College was a pretty nice facility, but they shut down March 13th, 2020, and that was the last time we were there.
Yeah, I know my old gym down there in downtown Oakland has a pool. I know Jerry Brown was a member there for a while. That then there's that pool. There's a club up in the Oakland Hills too. I think that Dale Marie goes. That I see that these pools are open during the winter. So I guess I just meant places where people
Oakland
could
Hills
join.
Tennis,
Yeah.
Oakland Hills Tennis Club is heated to like 84 degrees, and they don't put any lane lines in, and so that's swimming, but it isn't really like where you would go to get a workout. So I mean, there are pools, but the ones that I've talked about are really the only ones that people could train in.
Okay.
So, I mean, I sent you some pre-questions. I wonder which ones are the most interesting for you to answer. And that I just love that you got named, the club that we're a part of, Memo swim team, you got named the 2021 USMS Club of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And just what does that mean to you? Would you like to share that here? And want to hear you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of that. We finished the year with 212 members on Memo. And, getting Club of the Year is we're all 212th of that. It's the fact that we were a big, successful team that flourished during this whole pandemic that was part of the reasons in our application, I think, that they gave us Club of the Year. I'm sure a lot of teams struggled during the pandemic we had to relocate. We had to find a new pool. I had to form an LLC. In order to rent a new facility, I had so many people looking around for locations for us to swim and negotiating for me. I had to get a business banking account. I had to buy pace clocks. I had to apply for a grant. I had to get a microphone. I had to do all these things, and make a team. And a lot of teams struggle, but I think the things that since we started at zero to come up with a 212 person team was a pretty mighty accomplishment. So I did all the business things, but it's the 212 people that really made Memo a Club of the Year. So we one of our members nominated us. We have a national awards and recognition committee that selects honors and achievement, recognizes achievement, and there are like 1,200 teams in the country. So it was a pretty amazing thing.
Great. Yeah, I want to apologize to our listeners for kind of bearing the lead on that one. We should have opened with that. You were the Club of the Year, and you're so modest at saying that that's quite an accomplishment. It's something special there that your club has. Erika, could you just provide a little testimonial about why you think that club is special and why you think it is a Club of the Year?
Oh, well, I came to this club like in February. I got wind of it from my friend and she's been swimming with Memo, stands for Marcia's Enthusiastic Masters of Oakland. And so I came over, I dipped my toe in the water once a week to start with. And then I went to 3-4 times a week in March. And it was that was more stressful than swimming, was all the stuff you had to do to have the right amount of lanes and all that. Like there's a whole process to be COVID safe. And somehow still, even when the restrictions got lifted, we stayed safe as a group of people. And then meanwhile, what's happened to myself and my health and my fitness? Like now I got these muscles pumping out of my body that I've never had before. My friends, I have them touch on the top of my arm, and the top of my legs. And they're like, oh, that's different, so I have increased my, what is that called? My muscle capacity and my strength and my stamina. And then all this other stuff about like this racing thing that was a big curve for me. And so I just really, I feel like emotional when I get to say these things, like this has been a very positive, productive powerful thing that I've gotten to participate in. And I didn't think that this would be me, somebody that would swim 200 meters in a little race there. And then watching the 78-year-old swim her 1500 meters and the 800 meters. And I'm kind of like working it out in my head. Wow. Okay. I see what she's doing to do that. She's basically just doing her stamina thing over 16 minutes or 32 minutes. And what does that mean? What could I do a little bit more of that? So I'm preparing sort of for the next one, sort of in spite of myself. And that's exactly what it's been for me. I'm a psychotherapist. I work with people and their mindset all the time, but this has been my own stretch to be able to do things I didn't think I could do and get out of my own way. I sent Coach Marcia this really cool, this little fish swimming in the ocean with a shark fin strapped to its back. And it's been a lot of mindset for me. So I really appreciate you and what you're creating here at Coach Marcia. And I also appreciate your sense of humor. And, you just crack me up often. Like often I feel like I'm cracking up because you take it so seriously, and yet I'm learning all the time. Like I just sort of figured out what the interval thing is. Like I now know that in a minute, in what is it, my 50 yards, I can do a minute freestyle 50 yards. Like I just figured that out. And now I understand why my interval is a minute and 10 seconds, because I have that 10 seconds to breathe. And then you have us go and swim another 50 yards. Like it all sort of started to click this many months later, me and Matt.
People arrive at that place at different times. Yeah.
And the first week I got in the water, David, she was like, Erika, take a break. I love imitating you, Coach Marcia. She's like, take a break. You can't die in your first day back. And I'm like, so there's a lot of like feeling very empowered in this experience that I don't know that we have this experience in other places in our lives. It's like full body immersion and then working it out with your lane and who's in your lane and supporting everybody so nobody drowns and all that.
That's my number one goal. There are a lot of masters teams. There, hundreds and hundreds in the country, and a lot of they're all levels of hands-on coaching. And some of them write a workout on a whiteboard and get in the water and do it, like the guy next to them. Some just decide. Two people decide when they get there what do they want to do today, but I feel like, I have adults and they all have big jobs and responsibilities and, family things, home things, parent things, kid things. And they just have so much. It's so hard to be a grown-up, and when they come to swimming, they don't have to be a grown-up anymore. And I tell them what to do. And I think people like that. I think that people like being told what to do, and it's a break for them. They don't have to think about it and wonder what they're doing. Somebody has planned this, and somebody whose job and education it is to understand why we're doing it has figured it all out for you. So my goal is to do that and to make a strong sense of community. That's my number one goal. I want everybody in the lane to know each other. I try to have parties at my house, and we have team get-togethers, and we go to competitions, and there's a lot of time outside of the pool, and people who just come every day and do their mile or something, they're not getting that. They're getting their exercise and they're burning calories, but I wanted a team that had a sense of community. And so that's, I think, my strength, and that's what I try to do.
You have done that. You totally have done that. What were you going to say?
That's just a beautiful thing. And I mean, this kind of brought up a lot of memories of Erika and I knowing each other for the past 3 years. And this really, I think what's missing in so many people's lives, if they don't have it, is that sense of community. And I think such a beautiful thing about the East Bay area is all these ways to have a community if you look for it at the swim club or my Rotary or our BNI. So I think it's just you really kind of struck a chord about what makes that club so special. And Erika kind of conveyed that, but I understand it better now. And I think you need people like you who keep it going, who start it up and, set that good standard for this sense of community. So it's a beautiful story.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then now you have a goal for coming up for the next meet, or is it not only about that? What do you want to say for people tuning in about what's next for you?
I think that people who don't have a coach or who have a coach that doesn't compete, they kind of do the same thing over. In fact, some people literally do the same thing on Monday and the same thing on every Tuesday and things like that. My background and my training, my own experiences and my daughter's experiences, who was also a collegiate swimmer. My husband is a swimmer. I believe in periodization of training. So periodization of training is you're going to start with building a base, then you're going to build strength and sharpen your focus towards competition, and then you're going to prepare to race. And we rotate all those things in little kind of macro seasons. We start our January to March preparing for our big competition, April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. After that, we work towards open water training in the summer. We're lucky to be in an area where there's a lot of open water competitions. And after summer, we work towards training for the meet we just won. Memo just won one of the largest short court regional championships in the United States. Ours was in Walnut Creek, October 15th through 17th. Then after that, we start training for an event that we host called the 400 Kick for Time. And I have definite seasons, definite weekly plans, definite year-long plans, and I work towards that, and that keeps things interesting. It keeps things fresh for the athletes, and it gives, I think, having a focus to training makes training better for everybody too.
And if somebody wanted to just come check out the club, do you take walk-ons, or should they go to your website, which is www.memoswimteam.com, or if somebody just wants to get introduced to it, how should they check it out?
Unfortunately, our insurance, we're covered by our insurance if everyone is a member of our governing body, United States Masters Swimming, but they do have a one-time waiver for people who'd like to try it out. So anybody who goes to memoswimteam.com and goes to the contact tab on the page and gets a hold of me, I'm happy to share the link to register for a one-time trial. Back when we were at Laney College, we didn't have to worry about that, but now that I'm my own boss and all the responsibilities on me, I take these things more seriously. So I do need everybody to sign a waiver, unless of course they're a member of maybe another team or they're visiting from another area. Those people are already covered by our insurance, and they're definitely welcome to come for a small drop-in fee.
Right. And I know we are just about at time. I wanted to see if Erika had any closing comments, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, thank you for coming. I also wanted to mention that, for people who experience physical pain, it's a great way to get out of pain. I have been pain-free this whole time. And that's something that I, as a person who sits a lot when I'm working with clients, psychotherapy clients, like I am so much less in pain. And that has been a great benefit. My chiropractor gave me a little report card, and my back is in so much better shape. And I'm just like, woohoo, it's all that swimming, And so I just want to thank you again. And maybe if you are curious even more about what we're talking about, you can check out this little video that you put together from the meet. That was just so inspiring to see. And I can't help but just remember all the feelings and sensations of that meet and what that was like to be there those 2.5 days I was there. It was so powerful. And we totally dominated that meet. It was crazy. It was
that
crazy.
was my plan.
That was so crazy. So yeah, and maybe that's something that we can direct people to. We have the link here, and just thanks again. Anything you want to say, Coach Marcia?
No, I think every day of swimming is a better day than a day of not swimming. It's just the best thing. You can do it till you're 100 years old. We at master swimming, I got to share one thing. Master swimming used to end at 80 and up. That was the last age category for competition. And then somebody who was 85 got really mad and he wanted his own category. So then it was 80 to 84 and 85 and up. And then some 90-year-old got mad. And then there was a 90 and up. And then there was 90, 95, 100. Now there's 105 and up in master swimming, where there are world records, there's American records, there's everything all set. And like, what other thing could you do that? That swimming is just so amazing that you can do that till you're 105 and that the guy cares that he has his own record. So it's
it was really breathtaking to see the 90-something-year-old and the 80-something-year-old getting acknowledged at the meet. I mean, the whole meet just stopped for them to honor them and acknowledge them, along with the Olympian guy who was Olympian hopeful. It was just breathtaking. So
swimming's my favorite thing in the whole world, and I'm so happy I found it and it found me, because I couldn't imagine doing anything but this.
Great to hear. And I know it. Luckily, I don't have a boss, or they might take me off the air for not opening properly about your club being the club of the year. But if swimmers want to come check out a special swim club, get in touch with Erika or Marcia about just coming to visit and come check out that club about what makes it special. And thanks so much for coming on to share your story. And we're actually taking a break here on the Ripple Effect for the holidays. We're going to resume in January. And if you have any closing remarks, Erika, we'll make those brief, and then we're going to close out.
Okay, let's say Coach Marcia, Coach Marcia, Coach Marcia. Thank you again.
Okay.
It's so fun to have you on here. So much love to you both.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everyone.